Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'm playing around with image transfers on mirror cardstock. And because that mirror is on the bottom of it, wow, does that change how these things look. So like for this one, I just took a picture of a flower from my backyard, and by putting it on here, it gets this great, very old world kind of shimmer and shine to it with that metallic under it. Another one that I do in this video is this one, and it completely reminds me of that foil wallpaper that I just love seeing at times, and now I can easily make it to include in my play. Well, let me show you how I do these using the inkAID process. The first thing I do is print out the images that I want onto the transfer sheets. Now, because I'm just going to do one of these today, these other ones that I'm cutting off, I can save those and do those anytime that I want to. Now, this transfer film that I am using, it is a special transfer film. You get it from inkAID, and it's got a coating on it. It's part of the magic that happens when you put the Transferiez solution on there. And because I'm just doing a half size here, I'm only going to use half a sheet of cardstock too. So you can absolutely customize things to whatever size you need. I'm double checking here to make sure that I know which side was printed on, because the matte side is the side you want to print on, and that's also the side that I want to get into that Transferiez solution. What is this Transferiez solution? Well, it's taking the Transferiez concentrate and mixing it with some 91% isopropyl alcohol. Exactly how you do it, of course, is written on the bottle, but I also have a getting started video for you where I show you step by step how to do it. It's very simple. Once you see how to do it, you're off to the races. That video also includes everything you need to know about the transfer film, because it does need to be printed on an inkjet printer with pigment-based inks. And what that means, why it works that way, all that information is there for you in that getting started video, and I'll have it linked down below. I'm going to add the Transferiez solution here on top of the mirror cardstock. It's a juicy layer. I'm not being shy with it. And I am making sure that I cover the whole thing, because anywhere where I miss, I'm not going to get the image to transfer. And I want this whole thing to transfer. Once I've got my image where I want it, I'm going to hold it right there with my finger so it doesn't slide around. And then with as few passes as possible, push out any bubbles that I see there, and also make sure that I've got good contact between the transfer film and the Transferiez solution. And then comes the really hard part, waiting 2 minutes. You do need to give it 2 minutes to let the Transferiez solution interact with the transfer film, so that way it will lift off completely. Well, I survived the 2-minute wait, and now it's time to lift off that transfer film. Now, if you're wondering, is this video going in slow motion? No, I'm actually just doing this very gently, very carefully, because I do want the entire image to transfer. So that's why I'm just gently and slowly pulling that film up. Now, once I get all that film off, I'll show you how it catches the light, but it reminds me very much of like looking through at a negative of a photo, that kind of thing, because certain parts catch differently, and it just makes for a really interesting image. This one, I'm going to give it a few minutes to dry, and then I'm going to trim it up and turn it into a card to mail to one of my flower-loving friends. Now, I've got a very bright and colorful image transfer that I'm going to do here. That's what it looks like with paper under it, so you can kind of get an idea of the full color in there. And it's going to look a little different when it's done on the mirror cardstock, because it's going to take on more of that metallic look. Now, this is actually a collage of about 9 different little snippets of play, and you can do all of them at once, or you can do them individually. It's completely up to you. I like to go for the fast and easy way and just transfer the whole thing. That way I've got pieces and parts to choose from to use in a collage. Now, just like when I was doing a smaller image transfer, the process is the same even if I'm doing a full sheet. Juicy layer of Transferiez solution on there, printed side down of the transfer film, and then I'm going to hold it in place and then brayer over to get any of the bubbles out. The image that I'm using here, this is something that goes out free to newsletter subscribers. If you'd like to get it, I've got a link down below for you. And you'll get this one right away, and then every week you'll get a brand new one that you can use for your image transfer or whatever else you like to create. Once I've waited my 2 minutes, then I can lift up that transfer film. Okay, I need to confess something here. I wait 2 minutes, but sometimes it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds, sometimes it's 1 minute and 50 seconds, sometimes it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's okay, as long as you lift it up around 2 minutes. Now, there is one little area on here that did not transfer, and I love it when this kind of stuff happens. See that little piece that came up right there? That creates a little bit of serendipity right there in the transfer. And that works so well with all the colorfulness going on this image. The hibiscus transfer, the flower that I did earlier in this video, that one I wanted to use as it was. But for this one, this is kind of like collage fodder. And so I can cut it into whatever shape that I want because this is simply cardstock. Good old mirror cardstock easily cuts with scissors. So it makes it possible for me to look at those circles that are here on this and cut those out. Now I'm going to cut a lot of these out so that I'm using every little bit of this wonderful shimmery metallic-y looking print. Now you may be wondering, okay, once you've got them cut out, what do you do with them then? Well, I'm going to show you two different ways I play around with these in terms of collage. When I saw these circles, I thought they would fit perfectly here on this card. Loved how the green and the orange popped with the purple, but when I put them in there as the full circle, it didn't quite, well, do exactly for me what I thought it would. So I'm going to cut a little bit more out of this, and I'm going to turn them into these sort of loose, freeform kind of arches to add into it. And every little scrap of this wonderful mirrored image transfer I am going to hang on to, because those can become just little touches, elements added into another collage at some other point. Because being able to get that reflective bit in there, it just adds so much. Like on this piece, every other piece of paper on here is very matte, and then you've got that mirror, that metallic from that image transfer on mirror paper. And here's another collage I've been playing with, and yes, those are vintage photos that I did image transfers with onto the mirror cardstock as well. You can do all sorts of stuff. And you can even take little pieces of it and add those in as elements to really punch up an area of a collage. If you're new to the inkAID image transfer process, you might be wondering, can you do it on something besides mirror cardstock? Oh yes, indeed you can. You absolutely can. You can do it on paper, on fabric, and even on something like metal. This right here, same process that you just saw in this video, was done onto metal. There are lots of ways you can play around with the inkAID image transfer. Well, thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you've enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And of course, if you know of somebody who you think might enjoy this video, share it with them so they can join in the fun as well. If you'd like to know more of what I'm up to, you can find everything on my website at acolorfuljourney.com. And of course, you can hit that subscribe button to know as soon as I've got a new video out. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.